Good morning. Happy Sunday. I want to talk today about something that I see all the time, and I have a very different take on it. So this is about getting a lipedema diagnosis. And I have an extremely, controversial take on these sorts of things. I had the same with thyroid disease, and to me, it's very hard to get a diagnosis. Not many doctors are even aware that lipedema exists. Okay, so because of that, you're really kind of pushing uphill to get a diagnosis, right? So now, if you're here, I can't actually see any comments. So anyway, it is what it is. Something's wrong on my screen. It just says something's wrong. Anyway, I will continue going. I might open it up on my phone in case there are comments. And let's see if it will show me. No, it doesn't show me. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, so sorry, back to the topic at hand. Now, unless you can afford surgery to fix the lipedema, which is not covered by most healthcare situations, unless you can get cheaper compressions or cheaper things like that allows you to help your lipedema. In most cases, you can't. I actually wouldn't bother getting diagnosed. That's my controversial take, because the diagnosis changes nothing if you can't afford to be fixed, if you can't afford all of the things that go along with a diagnosis. So if you think you have lipedema and you've been on all the lipedema pages and it's really quite obvious to you that you have lipedema, then just get on with it. Just get on with it. Like, you don't go to a doctor to get diagnosed with a cold, right? This is a very simplistic point of view. It really bothers me that I can't see your comments. I'm so sorry. You don't go, you just get on with it. You take the vitamin C, you take some zinc, you take care of yourself, you have, you rest more, all of those things. So let's take point of view for lipedema. If you're thinking, oh, there's no doctors around that'll diagnose me, don't worry about that. If you can't afford the surgery, that's the only reason you would want the diagnosis. If you are going to have surgery, or if your healthcare benefits covers you for compressions or pumps or things like that, then great, try and find a diagnosis. But in the meantime, what do you need to do for lipedema? So you need to lower your inflammation. You need to move, because your lymphatics are like butter. If you are still and not moving, it's like hard butter. It's cold. If you are moving around, it becomes like melted butter and soft. So you need to find a way to move. You need to eat that's in a way that, so far, all the lipedema pages and all of the doctors that research lipedema say that carnivore or keto, at the very least, is what moves the dial for lipedema. You need to try that. You need to stabilize your hormones, because hormones are a major driver of lipedema. So that is stabilizing your blood sugar, which you would do on carnivore automatically. You need to make sure your thyroid is stable. These are all things you can get tested at the doctor without too much of a problem these days. So there's, you can then also try all of the things, the vibration plates, the compressions, all the other things that are talked about in the lipedema pages. And there are so many. There's Lipedema Australia. There's there's lipedema Western Australia, there would be a lipedema page in your country, I've got no doubt. So look those up and start to just go through the moves. If you've gone through, I've got 2 other videos on lipedema at this point. I'm going to do a lot more because I'm gobsmacked at how many people need this information. So go through those 2 videos. One's more of a PowerPoint presentation that literally, and has a download sheet where you can tick off your symptoms. And if you think you have lipedema, going off all the symptoms, then just go ahead and start doing the things that are going to help your lipedema. Go on a carnivore diet for it and find that for the first time in your life you've lost weight. That would be a lipedema signal to me. But don't wait for a doctor to tell you, oh, this is what you've got. If you think you've got it, none of the things that helps lipedema way. All right, still do your own diligence, okay? Don't take my word for it. But if you're going to change things up by improving your inflammation and stabilizing your hormones, well, that can't be bad for you, right? And keep a diary. This is like one of my biggest things. If you've got a chronic health issue, lipedema, you're born with lipedema, right? If you've got a chronic health issue, and that is something that you've had or you have for longer than 3 months, that requires some kind of ongoing care. That is the definition of chronic disease. Okay, so thyroid disease, you have longer than 3 months and you have to take a pill, or you have to take some sort of cream, or you have to have some sort of ongoing care to look after it more than 3 months. That is the definition of a chronic disease. So keep a diary. Keep a diary of the things you try. And then maybe one day, like thyroid disease 30 years ago, it took me 2 years to get a diagnosis. So lipedema is pretty much in that same kind of area right now, that most doctors haven't heard of it. I've been really lucky that the surgeon that did my weight loss surgery knew what it was and knew that his take on it was that, yeah, it's a missing peptide in the gut. That was his understanding of it. So he at least knew about it. To the point that when I woke up after the surgery, they had the blood pressure, thanks to my doctor, around my forearm, not around up here, which I was like, oh my God, this doctor, amazing. Because if you've had your blood pressure taken, you know how painful it is, right? So just do the things, because getting the diagnosis might come down the track. And by then you will have a diary, you will have data on you of where you're at. So get yourself on the front foot of this and keep the data. Everything I do is about data on myself, okay? I weigh myself every day because that's data of what I ate the day before and how I moved and what happens in my body. That's data to me now. It wasn't in the beginning. It was a trigger. But now it's just data, and I look at it and go, right, okay, where am I at? Okay, because inflammation will show up on the scales quicker than anything else. So it's not necessarily the getting on the scales is your weight and food. It's, oh, are you inflamed today? What did you eat yesterday that you're inflamed today? So there's so many things that you can do. I've got myself a list over here. So lower your inflammation, move your lymphatics, find an exercise that you can do. I'm actually doing a video this week on exercise because I hate exercise. I'm going to say it. I will tell you. And I married a man who thinks exercise is the answer to everything. That's the universe, like sending someone my way that I would need, right? So move your lymphatics, try a carnivore or keto diet, because as I said, this is what the people that study lipedema right now is saying the best diet for lipedema. Stabilize your hormones, because it is driven by hormones, and that's why it shows up at high hormonal times in our life. puberty, pregnancy, menopause are the times that it gets out of control. Or for me, it was when my thyroid tanked. So again, my hormones were screwed up, and that's when I can look back now and go, oh, yeah, look, it's really obvious, whereas it wasn't at the time because I didn't know any better, and it was probably not even heard of back then. Lymphedema has always been, a thing, but yeah. So try all the things. Try vibration plates if you can afford to buy one. Try a grounding mat if you can afford to buy one. Get compressions if you feel like that's going to help you. At the very least, get a really firm fitting legging and see if that makes a difference to how you feel. Lymphatics, rebounder. I have a rebounder. I have a very expensive bungee type. However, with lipedema, you can have hypermobile joints, which I do, which means it's very easy to tear things and cause more problems, particularly on a bungee kind. So if you have hypermobile joints, so I ended up having a double knee replacement in 2020, I think it was. Yeah. And that was because I had by then I had 4 meniscal tears, I had a ruptured ACL, and I've got no doubt at least half of them was from bouncing rather vigorously on my rebounder. Never mind. Lesson learned. I still jump on that same rebounder because it cost $1,000. It was like the Rolls Royce, and it was the one I wanted. I didn't know I had joints that needed the strong spring version, which is less problematic on your joints. So if you've got hypermobile joints, there's one called Cellicizer, and it's made by the people, because rebounders were designed by NASA to rebuild the muscle in astronauts after they came back to Earth. Fun fact. But it not only builds muscle, it exercises every cell in your body. So it's amazing for you, absolutely amazing. But yeah, just be wary if you've got hypermobile joints. So you've always had issues with, tearing things and all that sort of stuff. Get the strong spring kind, not the bungee kind. That would be my big takeaway there. Inversion machines that help your lymphatics flow, because a lot of people with lipedema have really poor venous return, venous insufficiency. That's the actual word, venous insufficiency. So if you have that, then you will need to, that happens when your blood can't return to your heart. So helping it and helping your lymphatics to open up as well on an inversion machine. At the very least, at the end of the day, put your legs up in the wall. All right. So that's the very least that you should do from that perspective. If you can't move, you can't walk, but you need to move, or you need help moving, then I would highly recommend you get yourself to your nearest air-conditioned or heated, whatever your country temperatures are, insert your spot here. I would go to your nearest shopping centre, grab yourself a trolley to lean on, and walk the shopping centre. There are so many shopping centres now where you go in the mornings and you will see walking groups. And that's because it's safe, it's easy, it's heated or air conditioned, whatever the issue is there. And you can just keep walking. And what I find with lipedema, and what I found and discovered as time went by for me, because I've always hated exercise, didn't know why. I didn't know it was because my legs felt so heavy. Had no clue. So anytime I was walking around the shops, I could shop all day with my girlfriends, but that was because I was always distracted. I had things to look at. So going for a walk, along the road or out in the bush with nothing to look at, and some would say bush has things to look at, but, I needed literal visual distraction to have my mind thinking about something else, to be able to move and keep moving. Okay, so that might work for you. get a trolley, and it's amazing how many steps you can do in the malls, in the shopping centers. I got an Apple Watch for last Christmas to track my steps because I was really curious to know what I actually did. Like, how many steps do I do during the day when I'm working? How many steps, what absolutely blew my mind was how many steps you take when you're just doing the groceries. When you're just in the supermarket going up and down the aisles, it can be 3,000 plus steps. Let me tell you, I'm like, and if I'm there by myself, so if with husband, it's a lot more efficient because he wants out of there. If I'm there by myself and I'm in the mood to just have a look, things like that, then you can do so many steps. It's quite incredible how many you can do. So that would be my tip. If you hate exercise and you know you need to move, right? Having heavy legs and all that kind of thing is not an excuse for not moving, because we do need to move our lymphatics. We have to. So I would give that a go and see if that helps you out. But keep the data. That's my biggest advice. Keep the data as you go along, so that maybe one day in the near future, perhaps within the next few years, being diagnosed with lipedema is normal at any GP. That would be incredible. Whether or not it will happen, I don't know. But in the meantime, you will have data that you have collected on yourself where you are ready to go. It also puts you in control. I'm a big supporter of putting yourself in control any way you can. So whether that's thyroid disease or lipedema or anything like that, anywhere that you can put yourself in control is going to change your mental health around this whole thing, because it can be really debilitating on your mental health, lipedema, not knowing what's wrong with you, not knowing why you can't lose weight when other people around you can lose weight, not knowing why you've got strange looking legs when your waist is so slim. It does your head in, right? So do the things, do what puts you in control, and not and sometimes we think that getting a diagnosis is the control. It is not. It's actually working towards something that you feel like you're making headway, or working actively towards something that you know about. That's what puts you in control, not getting the diagnosis. A diagnosis isn't going to help anything unless you can afford the very expensive surgery that's not covered by Medicare here. It's not covered by private health here in Australia. So I don't know what it can help you for. So don't wait for that diagnosis. Don't wait for a doctor to say, yes, you do. If you think you do, if you've ticked off all the symptoms and you've gone, look, I can feel the nodules of lipedema fat under my skin. Like, I can literally feel it under my skin. Lipedema fat is bally, it's round, it's nodules, it's not flat and smooth and soft and squishy. Okay, so because it seeps through your lymphatics and into your subcutaneous tissues under your skin, so you can feel it. That's a big sign. So if you know you've got all those signs and you can literally tick off most of them, then start doing the things you need to do. Don't wait around for a diagnosis. Honestly, that's just going to make you feel helpless and not in control of your life. So that's what I have to say today. And I'm really, really sad that the last two now, it's told me I have something gone wrong, and I cannot see any comments. So if you've commented, thank you. I will look at them very shortly as soon as I stop this stream. And I think I might have to swap to a platform where I can stream, because I'm determined to stream every Sunday morning and have a cuppa with you, and we'll see where the year takes us. But in the meantime, this week I'm going to put out an exercise video that's just more specific on exercise and lipedema. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you all have an amazing week, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.